of my life. My kingdom may be small, but it's small.
Welcome to the House of Static, and this is a very, very great episode that I'm very excited about. But first, I'll say this is Bob, and he is the static part,
There
and
you
I
go.
Kilo, and I'm the house part because my name is Kilo House.
Yeah.
There you go.
And we have a new guest this week. Why don't you introduce our guest, Bob?
Sure, absolutely. And we should say, by the way, the reason maybe where our intros are a little different than usual is because we're recording this when we're usually doing live streams lately, and I think it's a little different. But anyway, this is pre-recorded because our guest today is the lovely and talented Katja Cruz, who is dialing in from Graz, Austria. So, Katja, say hello, and we'll go further with introductions after that. How about that?
Hello, and thanks for the invitation to this talk, and well, to all this collaboration that I'm really excited about. And yeah,
there you go. See, that's what I meant. That's what I meant by we'll get more into introductions after that, because the reason Katja is here on this particular day, this particular reason we would have Katja here any day of any week, of course. But the reason we're doing it on September 30th, 2022 is because our collaboration, and when I say our, I mean the three of us you see here on the screen, collaborated together on a song. And more specifically, Katja and her team had recorded a song and released it, this beautiful kind of mellow jazz tune called Queen of My Life. And I really liked it. I was familiar with Katja's music through my blog and things like that. And so I liked it. And I just kind of had this, image in my head of something I wanted to do with it. So then why don't you tell me, Katja, what happened then?
You sent me an email.
Yeah, there you go.
With title, I have an idea.
Right, exactly. There you go.
I still remember this, and well, wow.
And
I thought, okay, now I'm curious, but about your idea, and wow, this, you suggested to make this remix together with Kilo House and your label now.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. To be honest, I immediately was excited about this idea. Yeah.
Oh, well, that's cool.
I want her to be able to hear the process that was, because you got to hear like the idea and then like kind of a finished product type of thing, but it went through very interesting stages. Because first Bob came to me and he was like, do you think we can make this into a house song? And I was like, I listened to it on a Zoom call, and I was like, in my mind, I was like, I don't know how this is going to work, but I said yes. Like, why not say yes? And if we fail, it's a no, but I'm not going to just say no. So I was like, yeah. So then what happened next, Bob? You got the stems from her, right?
That's right. So I once Kilo said, yeah, sure, whatever you say, Bob. So I contacted Katja and I said, can we do this? And Katja said, yeah, sure, whatever you say, Bob. I think no one really thought like, what, I don't know how he's going to do this, turn it into, because if you listen to the original song, it is a very, very quiet and slow and mellow, beautiful jazz song. But not an EDM song at all. This is I just heard that for some reason. So anyway, we did. So then, yes, I contacted Katja, and then there you go.
I mean, this would really be a question. I mean, how did this idea come up by listening to the song? Did you you immediately hear this EDM part of it?
Well, I can tell you what my first thoughts were, right? I mean, part of it is because I know you, right? I know you at least from, communicating with you via, email and writing about you quite a bit. And the picture, the cover of the original cover, it was just a very beautiful, glamorous shot of you. And it really it just looked like like a diva, like a dance singer. Like it just kind of struck me like that right off the bat. I was like, I mean, you definitely look like a jazz singer in it too, but that's not, it's a hop, skip, and a jump between. It's a little bit change of lighting between the two styles, So that's just what I heard. I saw your picture and I was like, you know, that would really work with that. And I listened to the song and I could tell, I was like, that's a, you know, it's a very slow tempo. I was like, that's probably about 60 beats per minute. And if I double that, I could just put a kick, you know, put it, and I was like, there you go. There's a house beat. And that's kind of what I did. And then when I got the track, I got the tracks, it actually was exactly 60 beats per minute.
Yes, so that did happen. Yes.
Yeah, so it worked out perfectly.
I have to say, it was very much of Bob's brainchild, right? So usually a lot of our ideas are like kind of either a mixture or like I come up with a crazy idea and then Bob makes it happen, right? Like that's usually the gist of it. But Bob literally saw an idea that I didn't see. And even when I go back and I listen to your original version, I had my mom over to my apartment the other day and I was showing her the original and then the one she has heard that we did. And I still don't hear what Bob heard. Like it's just not there. And so Bob gave me, because I'm Bob's producer as well for all of his rock stuff. And so he gave me all of the stems and he was like, make it a house beat.
I didn't do anything with it. I just gave it to Kilo. I was like, try it, you know.
And I sat in this exact studio and tried, and I was like, nope. And I sent Bob an email or called him or something. I was like, you make it a house beat, and then I'll work on it. And he fucking, I won't say fucking because you're so wonderful, but I have to say, he literally just gave it back to me in an hour or two with it being at the right tempo.
I played all the parts and everything. So what I did was I had to first learn the song, you know, I learned the chords, and it's an interesting chord progression too, because like it's basically it's two parts, a verse and a chorus, right? And it, like with this kind of build, this pre-chorus. That was another reason I thought it would work as a house tune, because it had these like pre-chorus sections where it would build from the verse up to the chorus, and that works with dance music. And but anyway, so like in those parts, so like they'll repeat, like the second verse and the first verse seem the same, but it's like, but one is in a minor key of the same root note, but then the other's in the major. And I was like, oh, that's pretty neat, you know. And they change with the vocals, with the lyrics. The lyrics get more somber in the minor, and it was really very. So I'm glad I got a chance to tell you that. I was very impressed by that little trick of songwriting there. I thought it was pretty clever. So anyway, so I learned the song. Yeah, of course. So I learned the song.
Actually, it was well. I really thought about it. I mean, it was like
it worked.
Moving it, you know, this little bit, and it's so. Oh, to be honest, I still really I like it myself. Yeah.
So all those little intricacies, I tried to maintain them in the remix. You know what I mean? Like just a different, you know. But even though the sounds changed, you know what I mean? I made sure I was true to the melodic structure of the song, and again, and then because what I did was we had to, obviously some things had to get replaced, like the bass had to become an electronic bass because it's electronic dance music, you know. And
that actually took the longest, but we'll get into that.
Well, that was true. That's true. Yeah. So it was the first thing I did was put a bass in there, but then we worked on the sound, the style of the bass, because I did it like a backwards dumb disco thing first. So then I fixed that first, and then we worked on the different sound.
The Melbourne bounce type of like alternate bass that goes up down type of thing.
That's what I'm saying, right? Exactly. We twisted it around there. But anyway, we did a lot of that stuff for like weeks. We were going back and forth. But that initial one day, I really just I learned the song, and then I just got to lay down the bass. I played the piano. Your original piano part I actually kept, but it's not as piano. I wanted. You could do tricks with DAWs, with the different recording. So I use Pro Tools. And I turned the audio into MIDI, right? Because I thought that'd be a cool way to learn the chords, like on the cheap. I didn't have to actually listen. I just I could learn the chords, and it doesn't really work that way. It kind of picks up all the background tones and everything else, and turns those into MIDI too. So you can't like look at it and go, that's a chord. It's kind of tough, but it makes cool sounds. So I took the MIDI that your piano track was turned into MIDI, and I took that MIDI and I put that synth tone on it. So the synth you hear at the beginning, that washy kind of thing, and it kind of goes throughout the song, and it makes it that big. That's actually your original piano track just turned into a digital track and then done.
You told me that. That's awesome.
Yeah, that was what I did. So, and then I put the other parts in there, and then gave it to Kilo, and then off we go.
I think I did something with the structure. I don't remember exactly what I did like that, but I do know that one thing I did, I guess on mistake or maybe subconsciously on purpose, was using your backing vocal in the, I think, pre-chorus louder than it is in the original to give it kind of a very buildy feeling, rather than doing like the traditional house, like snare buildup, right? I didn't want to do that to this song. I wanted it to be a very festival-y feeling, like, I don't know how to explain it. Do you know?
Yeah,
Bob?
yeah, I know what you mean. Like, so that was, I forgot to mention the vocals too, because that's obviously a big, huge part of the song, and so, and the original vocals were recorded beautifully. I mean, there was really very little needed to be done with it, so, but really it was about like how to represent those background vocals, because they're beautiful as well. And they're layered, and there's like 3 or 4 parts, harmonies. And so it's really nice. And so, I did a little thing where I kind of like, I put a little chorus on them and kind of, pan them out, stereo, and then gave that to Kilo. And then he did more, just really, I don't know what magic he did, but it's just that those are some of the biggest high points of the song,
So yeah, the vocal and what we tried to do is highlight the vocal and the saxophone, because I wanted not to do what some EDM artists do and cover up the original with our big EDM sounds. I wanted to make your voice as a sound and like the saxophone into an EDM song. And I think that's probably why we did a good job, is we didn't try to overwhelm.
And it really works out.
Well,
it's like so the one thing really is that I mean, there is basically there is a very positive message on this song. Yeah, I'm the queen of my life. I mean, this is something important. Yeah. But when I wrote this song, and in the verses, they are like, I wrote this out of a sad mood, out of well, even when you're the queen of your life, you experience times that are not so nice and easy to go, and how to do the next step. It's also part of it. And so I wrote this song out of this mood, and then I think what is so important, connecting with this strength of being the queen of my life, and well, and and the way you do it now, it is it got such a happy mood, yeah,
right.
And you really, I mean, when I heard it first time, I started, smiling from like one ear to the other, and immediately dancing with it.
Oh,
so
awesome.
It's really, I mean, and I thought, wow, I mean, this kind of message now got even stronger, the way you did it, yeah.
That's fantastic.
What is one thing that I really think is fantastic, because yeah, I could do it the way I did it,
right.
and what now happened with it is like, wow, you brew something new,
That's awesome. I'm so glad that yeah, that's a fantastic way to say it. I really appreciate that. Thank you.
That's what gripped us originally, and especially Bob, was the message in the lyrics.
Right. Yeah. That's what I mean. It's the whole package. It's the whole thing. It's the whole Katja Cruz Liberty Sea package. Because I was already very familiar with your music, and you have a theme, the common thread that runs through your music that is, empowerment and positivity, and it's just a really beautiful, strong and positive message that I connected to early on, when I first heard your music, a year or two ago or whatever. And this one, I think you just kind of summed it up almost, like, like a lot of the messages you had been saying and everything else. You're just like, it's cool. It's just a great message. My kingdom may be small, but it's mine. You know what I mean? It's just great. So, and I did want to capture that. I wanted to capture the positive. What's that?
Yeah, again.
Oh, you lost. I'm sorry. But I did want to capture that positivity. That's what I was hoping for. So thank you. I was glad to hear you say that. Thank you.
Yeah, and that that message is a very important message to me myself, because my main thing is like people doing their thing, right? And owning themselves and being like, this is who I am, and I'm okay with that. And so working on a song, because I do crazy music, I do crazy EDM music, it doesn't necessarily show my message.
I know, meanwhile I know.
But like this song, I had the opportunity to show the thing that matters the most to me, which is people being okay with being themselves.
Right.
Like, and I wanted to say, like, even as a dude, like I listen to it and I can identify with it and be like, I'm the queen of my life. Like it doesn't matter that it says queen, like it matters what it's so empowering that it surpasses those words that might be like something you'd go, oh, well, I'm not a woman, so I can't identify with it, but you can, because it's
right. Exactly.
That's cool for me to hear,
Yeah. I mean, just from the music that you guys did and gave us to like your vocal, that's why we wanted to make sure the vocal was the prominent. I think we should point it out, Bob. We made sure the vocal was the prominent thing in the mix.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Always present when it was there, because it's the most important part. Because I think Bob said early on, he was like, if we bury her vocal in the mix and she's saying she's the queen of her life, then that doesn't make sense.
Yeah, really. Yeah, you can't say, hey, I'm over here, I'm the queen. You get queen's up in front.
Right there. So, and I think we did that in a great way. We made sure not to use too many sounds or too many things that were a distraction. The bass was very hard. I had to like make my own bass sound to get it perfect. We had to do different ways of doing the bass numerous times. Like we couldn't get it to hit the subwoofer correctly, but I wanted it to be a song that like people can play at a club, like hopefully you can reach as many people as possible and help people feel like empowered like that. So I couldn't leave the bass just kind of minimal, but I also I could have either like just been like, oh, never mind, and left it like that, or I could have overpowered the mix and done a bass that hits way too hard. That's what took so long, was like making sure the bass doesn't cover up the vocal, but it also is present in its own space.
I think I had to find a synth tone that just played like an A or whatever it was that was that was low enough to be in that range. And then we had
I don't know what we did. We did a lot with that end of it, but I think that that really just worked out. I love the song. I listen to the song all the time.
Yeah, me too.
Our song, yet I love listening to it, and I'm always like, wow, like this song just kind of takes me to a place where things are okay. Like I'm okay no matter what. And I mean,
that's
my message, because I'm in a wheelchair, like you can't tell right now, but like, and yet I'm a very happy person and I like being in a wheelchair. So I am the queen of my life. Like I've reached that place where it's like, I like me, and Bob can tell you I'm telling the truth. Like I like being the way I am. And so having a kind of a theme song to that now, and a song I helped work on, like that's pretty cool,
Yes. When I listened to it, it was like, it touched my heart so much. Also, two things. The one is, as you told me, with working on the bass and everything, you kept the balance so incredibly well. I mean, the balance between the intensity of the voice with all the other stuff happening. Yeah, it's great. Really, thank you so much for this. And then when I heard all the backing vocals there, it was really like a moment of wow.
I love that.
Because in the recording process, it was like, I first recorded, of course, the lead vocals, and then was sitting there and thought, okay, okay, I do the backings. As you said, I harmonized them. I sang different lines and voices and parts. And then in our mix of the original, you almost don't hear anything of it. You know, it's so far in the background. And this was a process between Stassi, who did the sound engineering and is also the bass player in my band. And it was like we were sending files back and forth in the nights because we both used to work during the night, and so and it was like put it on, turn it off, you know. Okay, finally we decided to do it this way, and then you send me your version, and it comes like, whoo!
That's fantastic.
Here it is. Here we go. And really, it's for me, it's a highlight in this song, in the version, and it was really touching me.
That's awesome. Well, you know, I'll tell you, the thing is that when when you're working on a song like this with someone else, right, and you're working on their tracks, you get to hear the music differently than the end product and differently than the public does, right? So once I got those tracks and I listened, like you said, you don't hear those backing vocals really much at all in the original. I mean, they sound nice, but they're very much in the background. But once when you solo that track and just listen to each one individually, they're remarkable. I mean, because you sort of just said, yeah, so I went in and did backing vocals. They're beautiful. I mean, gorgeous backing vocals. Your highs like you go up into the stratosphere there, and it's just so great that I was like, well, we got to have those way up. You know, I mean, there was no question. We just kind of bumped them up and panned them out and really let them do the work after that. You know, they're beautiful.
Absolutely. And I mean, yeah, that was a very the two genres are very different, and the both vocals fit the two genres. So the way you guys did the backing vocals definitely fit the genre you're doing, but to make you into this genre, we had to bring all of the personality out of the mix, I guess is a good way to say it. And the personality is you, right? You are the song.
Right.
You are the song. So bringing 100%. You out into the song, into the main stage of the song, was the way of really making it go from one genre to the other, right? I think that was really where it started, was the vocal.
Yeah, definitely.
Being a bit different was like, okay, now we have this kind of in your face, but not in your face genre, because it's not the kind of EDM that's like in your face, but the parts that need to be in your face should be, right? Which is the message of the vocal, you know, the shining light of the song is the vocal. And so it was tender love and care for the vocal that was really important, because fuck what other sound we put in it, like the vocal had to be perfect or the song was not going to be good, you know. We would have messed it up if we hadn't taken that time to mix and make the vocal present. And the stems you gave us were great, right? You didn't
everything sounded really good.
That we had to like fix. So it made it easy for us to bring it out because it wasn't like all muddy and staticky and stuff. So
there wasn't any cleanup to do. I will say, you know, one thing I was thinking about when you're both talking about that, and we were talking about how the vocals really stand out. I think that, you know, you've got obviously a phenomenal vocal performance. I mean, you know, Katja's vocal is gorgeous on the whole track. And it's just factual. I mean, I'm not being flattering. You know, you could just go listen to the song, anyone, and it's very clear. You know, our job was to make it very clear that her vocal was beautiful, and that's what we did. But I think one of the things that worked in all of our advantage there to make it stand out is that I mean, if you think about it, the whole song, actually, the rest of the song, other than the vocal and the saxophone, the rest of the song is going at twice the tempo. I think the whole song
more than twice, Bob. I checked today; it's at 134.
Right. Okay. Yeah. But I mean, then the vocals would have come up like a little bit to like 160, whatever, you know, to match that. So it's still twice the tempo of the vocal, is what I'm saying. But I mean, I think that I think that smooth, like I'm the queen of my life. Well, there's like a fast back, or you know what I mean? I think it. Yeah, I'm not. Promise you, I'm making fun of myself, not you.
Yeah,
What I'm saying.
listen to the song. Buddy, don't
You don't
listen to
sound
the
like that. That's me.
That's not
Oh,
what
that's
the
really
song.
Anyway.
and you know, I mean, the lead vocals, as you got them, this was a funny process because I recorded them first, then worked out the backing vocals, and then I was sitting here, thought, no, I'm missing something in the vocals. There's something I'm not okay with, you know. And I took the microphone here at home as I'm sitting here right now. And recorded one more track,
Yeah,
and send it to Sassi and said, listen, this is the track we're going to take now.
so what you're saying is that the lead vocal, the one that we use, the one that's on the song that we're releasing, you recorded right there on your couch.
Yeah.
That's
so
awesome.
as I'm sitting here, it was right in the middle of the night, and
just like right now.
That's how it works sometimes.
So cool.
So I want to know though, now that we're talking about the song, before we get into the name, I want to know when and why you wrote those lyrics. Like, explain the song itself to us. We've talked about the music this whole fucking time, but I want to know the passion behind the music and yeah.
Well, the song, I still remember. I wrote it down in one thing. It was January the 7th. I remember this exactly now. It was like, I don't know. It is. As I told you, it was written out of it was a difficult time for me, and I remembered this, as I told you already, this being the queen of my life, and it was really like sitting down on the piano, and it was it doesn't happen always like this, but it was really like the lyrics, the melody, the harmonies, it
all came together.
It all came together and I worked it out in. I remember because very often happens when I get out of bed. This is it's a very good time for writing.
Right. Yep.
And it was like this. I just had a coffee and was sat on the piano and wrote it down. It was like done in the morning in like, I don't know, 2 hours, and it was completely immediate there, you know, and yeah.
That's awesome.
Amazing. Yeah.
You know,
and
we talk a lot. We talk a lot about that, the waking hours and right before you go to bed or right before you wake up being the most creative times, and that's cool that all came to you like washing you in the morning.
Yeah.
It's amazing that it came. It's amazing when artists can be vulnerable with themselves by writing songs in those moments of maybe like pain or whatever, or confusion or whatever, and then it comes into focus as a song of positivity, because you would never know by listening to the lyrics it's coming from a place of you having to deal with something. It seems very positive, like you seem right now. You're laughing more than anyone else that's ever been on our show, and your smile is brightening up my day. And I live in California. The sun is out right now, and you're like, so it's like that. It's funny that you may have felt unfortunately upset about something, but it comes out with your true smile and personality into a song that is a very positive influence and will be in another way now. And because it inspired Bob to even hear it as a house song. So that's great. That's beautiful.
Oh yeah, no, I'll second that. I mean, Katja's music, Liberty Sea's music is very inspiring. All of your music is very inspiring. I'm a big, well, people can go on my blog and look up Liberty Sea and read about what I think of her music, but
Right.
it's beautiful stuff. Beautiful stuff.
When did you start making music? Like
Oh.
why did you start? Like what in your life made you start making music?
My way into music was really complicated. Very, very, very complicated. And I mean, there are two sides. The one is I started playing piano with age 5, so in a very young age, and I loved playing music. I hated classical education at some point. I completely dropped it. I didn't touch the piano for several years. Yeah. And then I had like this, how to say it, kind of this double talent, because I first in my life, actually, then I decided for fine arts. So I was a painter and sculptor too, and
you're an award-winning sculptor. People should know. I mean, you have quite a career as a sculptor.
Yeah, actually, and. But finally, it led me back into music, because I built 3 sculptures for the University of Music and Dramatic Arts here in Graz.
Wow.
And they are still there in the park, made of steel and glass. They're in the outside, and I made them to the music of Arnold Schönberg, Anton Webern, and Alban Berg. So it's like the second Viennese school, as we call it, modern music. And when I did this, several composers living here, contemporary composers, asked me to do projects with them. So I did paintings on their music. I did light compositions. I did light design too for the music.
So these would be like art installations where the music would be playing, and your art that was inspired by the music would be performed. The music would be performed while the art was displayed. Is that how that works?
The one thing was really interesting, because it was a composition for orchestra, for small orchestra, and the light design I did live. So I kind of pre-programmed everying, and then was sitting there in the concert hall with
for the live performance.
Oh, right. And then going with the music and the conductor, and always.
Oh, that's cool. And you were doing
the next step.
That's awesome.
So yeah, this was kind of interesting. And then it was I mean, these things happen very often in a very deep crisis.
Right.
I had a terrible crisis then in my life, and this crisis really drew me absolutely back into music. And it was a moment where I had to sing, where it was like a denial for several years. It happened that you don't allow yourself being who you are. I mean, maybe the queen of my life is so important for this reason also, that at some point I accepted who I was, and because and it really took me time, and it was like doing fine arts was like the way around music, because I thought, no, too many reasons to tell you now. I was maybe I didn't have enough courage, certainly no support at all. Well, one of my partners told me, no, you absolutely I'm not going to make music. He was a musician that time. So it was like many things against it,
That's right.
And so I took the other way, but at some point you realize it's not possible, I mean, if you connect with your heart, with your being, with the very essence of your being, you have to do what you're supposed to do in your life.
Right.
And well, this was the point where I went back into music, and well, since then
you have no idea.
idea.
You have no idea how closely I can relate to your story, how much it is
Me
my
too.
story as well. Oh my God. But I mean,
Tell me,
you know,
in which way? I'm curious.
I'll tell you real quickly. Mine, I've said, my history pretty clearly, but I've been a musician for, 30, 35 years almost now, about 30, say working professionally for 30 years. I'm 52 years old. And, for a 15-year chunk of my life, in the middle of that 30 years, I had a very corporate day job, very, very corporate, kind of upper middle management, well-paid sort of corporate job. And it was never me. I was about a computer guy. I'm a nerd, so I was very good with computers. And then I kind of got, I kind of just, got promoted. So I wasn't doing my job anymore. I was just being the boss of people that do the thing that I like to do. You know what I mean? And now I'm just pushing paper for years, by the time I was 5 years into my career, I was just a suit. And I've never been a suit, I looked like this, but was going to like these meetings, So anyway, I just ended up basically getting burned out. And when it was time to go back after, COVID, I just said, I can't do it. I gotta be. And one of the things that really struck me that you just said, Katja, which is something that we just talked to my kid a couple of days ago on a live stream. And I said almost exactly the same thing. I said, it's like getting me choked up thinking about it. I let myself be myself.
Right. Yeah.
And you said the same thing. And I was like, that's it right there. And
I mean,
let yourself be yourself. It's pretty cool.
Sure.
Pretty cool.
Like it's funny because I was identifying when you said it too. And I didn't see the similarity with Bob because I was doing the same thing. Because anybody who knows my story and it's heard my interview with my Icon interview, you guys can go to my website and listen to that. But like that is my story. Literally, you just said my story. Some crisis happened in my life, and before that I was a drummer in a metal band, and I didn't do music anymore until a crisis happened. And then I'm not gonna get choked up, but I have glasses on. No one will ever know. I wouldn't be living in California right now. I wouldn't be having a podcast right now if that crisis hadn't happened. Right. And I didn't lose everything, but I lost any meaning to anything for me. Everything didn't matter anymore and stuff. And then I heard this one house song and I was like, I could do that. I basically, and I told this story, I think on our stream, I basically like threatened the universe. I was like, I need purpose in my life by 12 o'clock tonight, or which who knows what would have been, but like, and I really did. I was listening to this song and I was like amazed by it, and I never listened to EDM before. And then I was like, I could do that. And I looked down at a clock in my car and it is 12 o'clock. Wow, it really was. And even if that was just bullshit luck, I fashioned my life from that moment, that very moment on, to that being the meaning. It is the message of what we just talked about, is the song that we got to work on, So I want to say thank you to you for letting us do that, for taking something that was very meaningful to you and trusting two crazy people from America, from New York and California. Like, you gave your baby away and you were like, okay, here you go. And I was like right here, my big monitor's right there. And I was like, oh man, this is amazing. I felt so, and I told Bob the other day, out of anything I've done in my life, and I've done awesome shit, this is my greatest accomplishment in my mind, because I got to remix a song from someone in another country, in another genre, and I got to put it out on our label, and like everything about it is one of those moments where when you think about it, you're like, wow, I actually did something with my life. Yeah,
Well,
thank
I
you for
thank
that.
you, really. I mean, this is so touching, really. And I also thank you for sharing your story. I mean, about life now also, because it's to be honest, it feels so good to know that I'm not alone with my strange ways in life.
You know,
The way I move, because sometimes it's like you hear other people saying, the stories they tell you, they are so straight, you know, I always knew what to do, and always, but I mean, I have to say, you know, my way was different.
Right.
It was not straight, you know.
Went to the beat of your own drummer, as they say.
right.
Now to hear it
Right.
from someone else also is good.
Yeah.
It's heartwarming. Also, is
Yeah, it's so
encouraging.
beautiful. And I still do want to know where your name came from, though.
Yeah, Liberty Sea.
I keep because every time I listen to the song, I keep having to remember what that is, and then I'm like, what the fuck does that mean?
That's partially my fault, because I always refer to you as Katja, because that's your name, and that's how. So I forget to say, I should say Liberty Sea. So.
Well, it came from from the situation. Well, I was I was working under my name, of course, Katja Cruz, yeah, and and when I made this turn, especially into songwriting, yeah, I somehow had the feeling I have to give it a new name, you know,
Right.
Yeah, because it's a bit different to what I did before. For several years I did kind of avant-garde jazz, you know, and it sounds completely different, of course, because it's a different genre. And when it came to songwriting, I thought, okay, for not to mix it up in general, you know, that it needs a new name. And the liberty comes from, well, the Statue of Liberty.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Because, well, for several reasons. Because I think it's a very strong symbol for liberty in general. I mean, now what's happening now in the States, we could discuss it, but basically, in its very essence, you know, it's the Statue of Liberty is a symbol of freedom. Is actually also a female statement of freedom. Yeah,
it's also it's also, not to get too political, but to make your reference to, for a moment there, what's going on in the United States. It also is a symbol of inclusion. It's the Statue of Liberty says, "Bring us your poor, your tired, your hungry, your huddled masses." And so, you know, people should remember that. That's what the Statue of Liberty is all about. My mom's from Ireland, so I'm kind of passionate about this. I'm all for immigrants. So everybody go read what it says on the Statue of Liberty. So sorry, continue.
Go ahead. Yeah.
And it's also, as you said, you know, it's at the point of reaching new lands. Yeah, in a way.
Right.
So and I understand myself as being a person who, in my way, it's something I keep representing. Sometimes I don't want to, but I always realize it's, in a way, it's happening, you know. So I thought it would be kind of the right name, and I kept the C there as the reference to Cruz, to my second name. So it's a bit difficult to tell others, you know, Liberty Sea. Okay, how to write this, especially in German. I mean,
that's funny. Well,
yeah, but I feel something really strongly within myself now. What I would like to say is, I really hope at this moment that we can do more things together. I don't know which way now, but I feel really thankful for what is happening right now. Also for this talk with you, for the remix you did. and I'm, well, this is the strongest impression that I have around, the strongest thought that it would be wonderful to, I don't know, continue collaboration in the one or other way.
Oh yeah.
Maybe Bob writes me another email. I have an idea.
We were talking
or whatever. I don't know.
But
there's something happening that I appreciate so much. Also, you know, is something I couldn't do.
Right.
I couldn't have done the song this way. You know.
Well, you know, one of the things that in this whole journey here that we've been discussing is that I've learned is what you're capable of once you collaborate with others, once you work with other people.
Right.
You know, everything I've done musically has gotten better over the last couple of years because I've been working with people, working with Kilo and working with mostly Kilo, and a couple other folks too. And yeah, it makes all the difference. So yeah, we can all do things if we work together. We can all do things that we can't do individually.
And that's how the world works. Awesome. If we all work together and we can inspire each other to do different things. The thing, a rock guy, a hard EDM guy, and a beautiful, wonderful jazz singer combined makes, I guess, a house song. I mean,
there you go.
And it's not even any of our genres. So yeah, we love working with you, and it's been an awesome journey.
Well, I would love us all to be the queen of our lives.
Absolutely.
And I will immediately be the first one when the song is there. I will dance it. I will dance with the song like crazy, you know. So let's dance this life and this way.
So okay. So I'm going to start the question round now because we're editing out the other thing. So what I would ask is, what is one song that when you hear it, you immediately feel like you need to go make music right now? Like other person's song.
Oh, I absolutely appreciate Alicia Keys and her music.
Oh yeah.
Is really fantastic on so many levels, really. And I saw her recently live in Berlin.
Oh wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
She was amazing.
Right.
The band was amazing. Well, I mean, through the last years, if there is someone I learned a lot of, it's her, really. Yeah, it's fantastic.
That's awesome.
And I mean, other singers is I love Nina Simone, you know.
Well, there you go. I mean, you know,
or at the change. I mean,
Nina Simone is like say you like Nina Simone. If you like jazz, and saying like Nina Simone is like saying, you know, I don't know, like you like rock, classic rock, and saying I like Jimi Hendrix. Of course you do. Of course you love it. Nina Simone is so great. Oh man, I love her. Yeah,
she is, but also like Pink. I love Pink. You know,
that's another lane right there. Yeah, that's
so
great.
strong in her message, and she's a fantastic singer, and is wow. So sometimes it's really like, pooh.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And she has all those things, like you said. She's a fantastic singer.
Pushing me, you know, going one step further. Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, so maybe these are the strongest influences. Yeah,
that's awesome. That is awesome. And so the question for me was, what music inspires me to create more music, right? That would be, that answer changes all the time. It changes. It'll change day to day, month to month, week to week. So lately I've been listening to, like, just before we did this today, and so when we're done doing this, I'm going to be recording some guitar tracks. And so for a friend of ours that makes records.
Yeah, she was on the show.
Yeah, London Elixir. She's awesome. And so anyway, she asked me for some guitar tracks. So I'm gonna be doing some of that after we do this. And then so to kind of get into like a cool mood for what I wanted to do, I was listening to Alice Coltrane. Alice Coltrane is it was John Coltrane's wife. And John Coltrane is like the most famous jazz saxophone player of all time. Yeah. So, I mean, when you're married, you know, when you're a jazz musician, a famous, semi-famous jazz musician married to John Coltrane, people tend to forget that you're a successful jazz musician yourself. But Alice was. She was excellent and has a long history, a catalog of music, and it's cool stuff because it's like great, you know, because I'm kind of hippy dippy and you know, mystical, you know. So it's like she's very into Hinduism and other you know religions, but very Hindu. It's very Hindu and Buddhist centric, mixed with like harp music and jazz, and it's just this cool, you know, just kind of puts you in, you know. So she's singing like Om Shanti over this like freeform jazz thing going on. It's groovy stuff. So yeah, and you're a jazz fan, Katja. You should check out Alice Coltrane. Great stuff.
Yeah, I will.
Right on. Yeah. So there you go. That's my answer. Alice Coltrane.
So I have to answer my own question. Now, most people who have watched any of our latest streams know my answer, but it's a song called Sylvia by Mike Snow, and it's the Robot Budget remix. I don't know how to say that, but it's like an 8-minute, like kind of progressive house type of thing. And that song just like, every time I hear it, not only does it make my day go like, I could do anything I ever dreamed of, but it also makes me be like, I need to dream of music right now.
That's great.
That's really my answer. And it probably for the rest of my life will be my answer because that song, 8 minutes, and I write songs that are 2.5 minutes long. Everybody knows that about me. I write very short to the point songs, but a song that I listened to and I was like, oh, I got to hear it again the first time I heard it. And then I realized I just listened to 8 minutes of it and I want to hear it again, has to be my answer because I would never do that with any other song. So there you go. Yeah, very easy answer from me. Okay, your turn for a question, Bob.
I got one this time and I know this one's going to be a good one. Yeah, I actually have a good question now. So here we go.
Now what happened?
Yeah. Yeah, the other stuff didn't happen. I forgot.
What other
People
stuff?
can wonder what I do. We're editing a bunch of stuff out. Anyway, so my question today, my only question today is when you were talking earlier, Katja, you were talking about how you would sometimes create pieces of like visual art, you know, to accompany other people's music compositions, right? So when you did that, so my question is, have you ever created any piece of art, musical, visual, otherwise, inspired by another piece of art that you had created? You know what I mean? So like, for instance, have you ever created something like a sculpture inspired by your own music or vice versa?
From my own ones.
Yeah, like inspiring
from my own painting to make music out of it.
Yeah, some example of you inspiring yourself. You hear a song and it inspires you maybe to write another song or maybe to paint something or whatever, but just, you know, you're inspiring yourself with your own work, you know. I thought this was a good one.
You're asking hard questions.
I don't know. I'm just silly.
Well, my fine art definitely was always inspired by music, but not by my own music. And since I'm writing music,
now forget it. Better question.
No.
Tell us your favorite thing about your hometown.
That's not music.
Don't care. I don't care. I do not care.
This is so much fun. I love this. Just so you know,
I don't care. This is I'm asking one question tonight, and it's that.
That's your question.
What's your favorite thing about Graz?
About Graz. The favorite thing about Graz is it's not very big, so you can.
That's a good thing. That's a nice thing to like about it.
You can walk through it or take the bicycle, go through it.
But it's pretty famously, it's got a pretty famous artistic scene, right? Isn't it a pretty famous art town, creative town? Doesn't it have like a history?
Yes, but
But that's not it.
I don't feel so connected to it, to be honest.
All right, cool.
Yeah,
I think.
I mean, I'm living here for so long now, but well, I love to go in town. I love the old center of Graz, and yeah,
Well,
be there, hang out there a little bit.
well, that's nice.
I love doing walks, and this
Mm.
is really cool here because it's just a few minutes in the one or other direction. You're like in a little wood or whatever.
Mhm.
Because I love doing long walks.
Me
Well,
too.
at the
Oh,
end of
wait,
the street
no.
is a bar that I like.
Oh, that's nice.
I think, Bob, I think what's wonderful that maybe no one's going to see maybe any of the other things, but I think what is amazingly wonderful here is the one thing you forgot with all of your questions, sir, is she's the queen of her life. So
Right.
she's not inspired by the art in her hometown and all the other questions because she's the queen of her life.
There you
This
go. There you
proves the name of that song
go.
is a real thing. It's not just whatever. It is, she just does it. It is what she is. So that's a wonderful thing that you've asked these non questions
Could
right
be
now.
just I'm asking stupid questions.
No,
I
you're
think
not.
it
No,
could be
you're
that.
not. It's showing.
No,
It's
no.
showing the strong personality of the person we're interviewing. You know,
Mhm.
it's great. I mean, I think. I mean, the one thing, since we've done crazy question round this time, it didn't work. I do want.
Yeah, the questions are done, man. We're
I'm
done.
going to ask her one more question that I want to
Okay.
know.
All
personally.
right.
If you were to describe yourself in one or a few words, what would it be and why? Like your whole being, what would it be?
Me?
Yeah. Yeah, you.
Essential revolutionary.
That's
Wow.
awesome.
Right on. That's
And,
something.
and
Fantastic.
why? Yeah, why would you call yourself that?
Well, it's like the one thing is I think I am a very essential person. Yeah, in every meaning.
Mhm.
And the revolutionary is something that that I realized. I mean, there is. I mean, I'm essential and a kind person, you know. And then I realized the way I'm going through my life, the way I'm creating my life. Um, I'm all very often I'm like. You could see it like being someone who is a revolutionary, you know.
Mhm.
I'm not wearing any flags or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just with doing and creating my life, my music, my yeah. I realized that I'm very often I'm touching so many taboos. So
Yeah.
although
Right.
although it's very often it's not even my intention, you know. It's just being where I am,
Mhm.
doing what I want, and thinking the way I think.
Right.
And then you realize it's very often, so often I'm touching things that other people would not like or resist to talk
Right.
about, think about, or um, yeah.
Right.
That's awesome.
I get it. I like it.
I
Being
would agree.
Hmm.
You're
is
definitely that way.
the
What's
yeah.
the what's that
I
famous?
think it is like at the moment the best description I find about myself. Yeah.
That's awesome. So
Very.
before we go, guys, let's just plug our Instagrams or whatever, just so people know when they go and listen to Queen of My Life that's out now, you can then go see kind of our personal personalities. So my Instagram and anything is just kilo_house. So if you
Right.
type kilo house on anything, you're probably going to find me. So what about you, Bob?
Yeah, just either static dive everywhere, but Instagram I'm at the static dive. So and just go to staticdive.com. Go to the house of static.com. That's our record label, and you can find everything about all of our music there, including Liberty Sea, Queen
Yeah.
of My Life, House of Static remix, featuring Kilo House and Static Dive. So
Hey,
Liberty, where would you like everyone to go to find you?
Yeah, you find me also on Instagram or YouTube or Facebook under Liberty C Music, all written in one word. So
Right.
Liberty C Music is also my website. It's like this, and yeah, that's how you find me.
That's
On
awesome.
Spotify, it's very simple. It's liberty_c dot.
Mhm.
So
Right.
and all other platforms are Liberty C Music. Yeah.
perfect.
And if
I
you want to
wanna
find
say-
any one of us, you can ask any one of the other of us, because I think we'll be
right,
working
right.
together
It'll
some
be
more in the
that-
future.
exactly. I want to say thank you for being on our show. It was I was excited. Bob was excited just to be able to talk to you about this amazing song that we had the pleasure of working with. So thank you so much for being here and taking your time with us tonight.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes, I will second everything that Kilo just said, Katja, and also just say that I'm personally I'm really glad to actually speak with you and I feel like I already know you, even though we've
Right, through the
spoken.
song, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, just through the everything though, the last couple, year or so of following you and talking to you, so it's just very nice to actually speak with you in person, and it's really exciting to have this project that we're launching together, and it sounds great, and it's just
Yeah.
fun and feels good, and
Yeah,
I
it's
can't wait for people to hear it, and I'm looking forward to doing more. Rock on.
Okay, guys, I will talk to you both very soon, and go listen to our new remix that's out now, Queen of My Life, House of Static remix featuring this man and this man. Okay, bye-bye, everybody.
Bye. Goodbye, Katja.
Bye bye, guys.
Thank
Thank you so much.
Hey, let's take a
Talk
minute.
soon.